What if your entire life is just a dream you haven't woken up from? Ever feel completely calm and then suddenly anxiety, fear, or dread hijacks your mind? One moment you're present, the next you're spiraling. How do we get ejected from the present moment so easily? What if I told you reality isn't what you think it is? That you aren't seeing reality, you are seeing a projection of your past. That everything you think is real is just a reflection of your subconscious conditioning. You might think you're making choices based on the present. But what if I told you most of your actions, fears, and struggles are echoes from your past? Welcome to the Illumined Entrepreneurs. We will be learning metaphysical concepts, ideas, and principles, bridging the gap to make them easy to understand and practical to take action. What if I told you reality isn't what you think it is? Two people can be sitting right next to each other, experiencing the same moment, yet living in completely different worlds. How? Because the world we see is not objective. It is filtered, colored, shaped by our past. We don't see the world as it is, we see it as we are. The idea that we are experiencing the same objective reality is an illusion. We are each living in a custom-built projection of our past conditioning, emotional wounds, and subconscious programming. Imagine two people walking into a crowded room. One sees warmth, connection, possibility. The other sees judgment, rejection, and danger. Same room, same people, two realities. Why? Because our minds aren't processing reality. Our minds are projecting it. Our perceptions are constructed. They're shaped by memory, fear, beliefs, and assumptions. A person trapped in negative thought loops sees difficulty and problems in the world around them. A person in line with inner peace perceives beauty, flow, and the synchronicity of life in the world around them. Your outer world is simply a printout of your inner world. Dr. Joe Dispenza gives the analogy of a deer grazing peacefully, when suddenly a pack of coyotes descend. Within milliseconds of the deer perceiving danger, its fight or flight response gets triggered. When we perceive a threat, our brain sends an SOS signal to our adrenal glands, triggering our fight or flight. From a single thought, this elaborate system turns on. For the deer, if it survives, once the threat disappears, the body returns back to balance within 15 to 20 minutes. It will resume grazing and be completely at peace. But for humans, we don't let the danger pass. We carry it, we replay it, we live in it. We replay arguments, betrayals, and failures. We dwell on what ifs and worst case scenarios. We flood our bodies with stress chemicals over and over again. With our thoughts, we activate our survival system. Every time we get stressed, we knock our body out of chemical balance. How often do you feel stressed about something that isn't even happening right now? Your consciousness isn't static. It shifts, it jumps, it gets hijacked. Your mind replays old wounds. It's not just memory, it's perception. It hijacks the now. It paints over reality. The medieval mystic Rabbi Avraham Abulafia wrote, "The world you see is but a shadow of the higher world. The mind must be refined to see beyond illusion." What if two people are standing side by side? Might as well be in two different universes. One caught in fear sees only shadows. One rooted in wisdom sees meaning in all things. Teal Swan speaks on the idea of how no one actually overreacts. They simply react to the reality that they alone perceive. She gives the example of a husband that forgot to put on his wedding ring after taking a shower, and the wife sees him without it and becomes irate, leading into a long argument. The husband thinking, "Why is my wife being so dramatic? I just forgot to put my ring back on. It wasn't intentional." But what if for the wife, it's not just the ring? It represents love, security, and commitment. What if in their past, they experienced abandonment? Now, that innocent mistake wasn't about today. It was triggering the pain of a past the wife never fully left behind. Same moment, same situation, yet two completely different realities. Observe closely. What we deem an overreaction is but the surface of a much deeper truth. A forgotten wedding ring, seemingly insignificant, reveals instead the silent echoes of past abandonment. An old, unhealed wound reasserting itself in the present. When we see this, we recognize that the pain arises not from the husband's forgetting to put back on his wedding ring, not from the outside, but from within. It's the meaning the wife has assigned to it. Our inner landscape shapes every experience. Neville Goddard would say, "Man's chief delusion is his conviction that there are causes other than his own state of consciousness." This is why we misinterpret each other. We assume we're seeing the same world, but our past, our traumas, our beliefs filter what's in front of us. If someone reacts more intensely than you expect, it doesn't mean they're overreacting. It means the meaning that they've assigned to the situation is more painful than the meaning you've assigned to it. Teal Swan adds, if you constantly find yourself surrounded by dramatic people or situations, it's not coincidence. It's a mirror. You attract what is unresolved in you. Every conflict is an invitation to see what part of you is still unhealed. Imagine you text a friend and they don't respond. If you are carrying abandonment wounds, you immediately assume that they are ignoring you, and feelings of rejection surface. I like to think of it like this. Imagine your inner world as a vast battlefield from a bygone civil war. Every time you disassociate from a trauma, it's like leaving behind a wounded soldier on that field, leaving behind an essential part of you. This part never truly dies, but remains frozen in time. These remnants of past pain continue to echo in our lives long after the battle has ended. Our mind buries the images of traumatic experiences to protect us, but it leaves behind raw sensory imprints. This is what the triggers are. Imagine you're at work and walk in late to a meeting, and your boss rolls their eyes at you, and you're thinking, how dare they roll their eyes at me? And you find yourself getting so angry. In that moment, an old memory is being activated. This moment is not about the person rolling their eyes at you. It's tied to an old experience, perhaps a childhood where you were dismissed or belittled. Your reaction is not to this moment now. The feelings coming up are what you tried to bury from your past. So ask yourself, am I reacting to this moment or to something from my past? We carry countless traumas from our childhood. Some would even add from our past lives that are all deep within us, stored in fragmented pieces. You can be walking down the street, excited about your day, and then a sound, a word, a glance, and suddenly you're not present. You're not here anymore. Where did you go? You're there, back in some moment of pain, rejection, or fear. This is your consciousness being hijacked. It's like being caught in a powerful rip current. One moment, you're standing safely in shallow waters, and the next, you're being dragged out to sea, grasping for air. This is what happens when old trauma gets reactivated. Your body isn't just reacting, it's remembering. The wounded soldier you left behind on the battlefield has just seized you, pulling you back into past pain as if it was happening now. In these moments, it feels as though two walls begin closing in. The more you resist, the tighter they press. But what if you simply observed? What if, rather than fighting, you took a deep breath and watched the scene unfold like a movie? No judgment, no resistance, just awareness. In that quiet observation, a doorway appears, an invitation to step forward into the unknown. As you take that step, the walls begin to collapse, not in destruction, not in loss, but in liberation. Because their dissolution is not an ending, it is the release of an old confinement that no longer serves you. This is the power of awareness. We don't have to remain stuck in the patterns of our past. In every moment, there lies an opportunity for renewal. The point of power is always in the present moment. Our true power lies not in what we've endured, but in how we rise from it. Step forward into your true self. Allow the walls to fall. Step into your power. Remember, you are not your past. You are the freedom you create now.